What's going on, y'all? It's your girl Amaya Desire, and of course, I'm here with the one and only Av. What's going on? Do you go by
What's
Av or
going
do you
on?
go by Chris?
I mean, I guess it depends on who's asking.
Oh, well, I'm
In
asking for me.
most, oh, for you, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Well, Chris, now we are here back with Big Go Belt Media, and we will be presenting reviews for the final and sixth season of Black Love.
hmm
Um, just to give you all some history, Chris and I have been friends for 20 years now. I feel like it's more than that.
22.
22 years. 22
hmm
years. We have 22 years of friendship. And of course we're on the team, and so I thought of like, yo, this would be an amazing opportunity for both of us being in our 30s. So you're not gonna tell them what range of 30s we in, but in our 30s to, like, especially because we're single and we've gone through some things, to be able to talk on such a show like this. So background for the people who are watching: Black Love is a docu-series, and essentially it's exploring the main different journeys of married couples, and their unique journeys to becoming one. It's on OWN. This is the final season. They've had six flourishing, amazing seasons, and it will air July 23rd. Okay. I have been a fan of this show forever since it started. And I love that you don't have to watch every season to get into the seasons. And so this is your first episode of seeing Black Love. Chris, what was your
Yes.
initial thoughts when you watched episode 1 of this season?
It was, well, honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. I guess my assumption was that it would be like a show, like a scripted show. So
Mhm.
I didn't know what to expect. But once I sat down to watch it, it was like, at least this episode, it was basically raw conversation edited amongst like six or seven different couples. And it was like
Mhm.
each couple was telling a story, and I guess they would show up, a portion, cut to the next couple, get them their portion, cut to the next couple, so on and so forth. And
Yeah.
then as it progressed, you basically, you see that each couple is telling a story, and it's chopped up basically, but it's
Yeah.
essentially what I got from it from most of the people was how they met, the circumstances under which they met,
Mhm.
and I guess the ups and downs of that process to getting to where they were currently at the moment.
Right. So in this episode, because we do have, actually, you know what? I want to say these are the couples, and so they just go back and forth between them. So we have,
Yeah.
um, I don't want to get these names wrong, but we have Kenrick and Saniqua, Tommy and Cody, which are the
hmm
actual creators of the show.
hmm
Jeanette and Robert, Alimi and Don,
Don, yeah.
Asia and Kel, Papoose and Remy Ma,
Mm-hmm.
JB Smooth and Shahida,
Mm-hmm.
Jared and Melanie, Ray and Rosalind, and Ashley and Daryl. So in this particular episode, which is called There Isn't One Way, um, I am excited that they're talking about how they met. Um, when you talk about how you're meeting, or especially when it comes to the love of your life, it seems like people always have these amazing stories around the feeling that they had, you know what I mean? So of course Cody and Tommy Oliver, which are the creators, they talk about how they met, which was at a film festival, essentially, like, or at a, oh my goodness, what's the word, a media event, there we go. And so, Tommy is a filmmaker, and Cody is, essentially like just at the time she was a rep for a Canon. And so we have the I feel like when you start telling your love story, whenever you can remember the first day that you met, okay, the first day that it became official, the time that you talked on the phone for hours and hours, there's a special moment that everybody kind of, sees. What did Was there anything that stood out about any of the couples, not specifically Cody and Tommy, but just any of the couples that stood out to you, in this episode in particular?
Yeah. well, I guess each couple kind of sticks out in their own way. They each, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, highlight something different.
Right.
Um, I was looking, I guess, for more like similarities amongst the story. So I noticed like with Papoose, Kel, Alimi and Don, with all of their stories, the common theme to me was there was some sort of proclamation prior to the relationship being formed.
Mm.
So like with
Mm-hmm.
Papoose, it was like, yo, I saw Remy and it was, yo, I like her. And he said they laughed him out in the studio like, dog,
Right. Right.
Remy,
Right. Yeah.
but he made that proclamation. For
Yeah.
Kel, they said it was the so he wrote her a
He
song.
wrote
So
our
I
song.
guess they was friends up until the point they was talking.
Uh-huh.
They was,
Yeah.
but then when he wrote that song,
More
that was
than
kind of the
friends.
proc exactly.
Yeah.
And then with Alimi and Don, she was saying their first interaction wasn't even on him trying to holler. I guess
Right.
he was a freelancing or for
Yeah. Photographer.
photography.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he just happened to be going through and saw her, and literally in the moment of seeing her or her opening the door, he just
Yeah.
clicked and just
Because they
got the
had a
photo.
session. Right. Mm-hmm.
And that was, I guess the proclamation indirectly.
Right.
And then that led to the buildup. And then he even talks about the specific time where she was venting and when she ran her fingers through her hair,
Yeah.
he
He was
caught
like,
that like, yo, that's it.
that's the moment right there. He was like, I don't care who
Yeah.
she with. I'm trying to figure
Um,
out how to get there.
there,
You know, I
exactly.
I will agree with you. I think that they do the theme for me that I saw was either one that they had proclaimed that they like this person, like they told this person, like, I like you, or that a lot of them started with a solid like friendship. And
Mhm.
so I think when you're talking about relationships and love and building commitment, a lot of people, and I know my mom has told me, like, oh, you need a solid friendship first and this and the third. And I've always wondered, like, how does one do that if you know you're romantically and sexually attracted to somebody? How do you like put a pause on it and just build the friendship out? And
Mhm.
so I think that, even Papoose was talking about it with Remy Ra. He talks about how they would basically, they would talk on the phone. They would hang out, get a hotel room, meeting up halfway from Long Island and Jersey. And, they would just chill and watch movies and talk. And that seems so weird considering that, like, in my head, I'm like, hotel room, like, what y'all doing? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, do you think that when it comes to like being friends first, do you think that has that worked out for you in any of your relationships? Do you think like as far as a friendship first and then moving into a
Oh,
relationship?
I think what is it? You know what? It's tough. It's tricky
Mm-hmm.
because what I've learned in life, I guess overall, at least in my experience, is things in most cases are easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple for a person to articulate, hey, do this, make sure this is this way. It's a whole entire different thing when you actually in it real time.
Right.
And it's like, well, they said this and this and this, but that ain't what none of this looks like. So
Right.
I think ultimately, yes, you should have some kind of friendship established. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I guess, what kind of friendship that is or what that looks like or how it's expressed between
Right.
people, I guess that's more so the gray area. I think a lot of times people make up in their head, oh, we have to be friends first, and that means this, and then it should look like this. And I think that's where people run into problems because they're setting up constructs based on what they've been told or what they assume it should be,
Right.
rather than just letting the energy flow and feeling what it is. You know what I mean? So you could
Right.
have a real close friendship with a girl, like say, if I'm a guy, I could have a real close friendship with a girl that looks totally different from what other guys that are friends with girls looks like because
Mm-hmm.
of me and her vibe. So, all right, the average male female friendship, oh, let's go, get something to eat, or oh, let's go, discuss this movie, right?
Yeah,
Me and
that's
my
true.
homegirl, we might go to the club. She like to dance. I like to dance. Let's go turn up and party. Let's go have some
Yeah.
fun with some music. I mean, or let's go roller skate and something like the activities might be different. And then
Right.
it
Gotcha.
gives it that, kind of couple vibe, but y'all are just friends. So I feel like it depends on your situation, it depends on the people involved, and it depends on what you're really basing the friendship around. Rather than trying to force, I think that's what happens. People try to force stuff and put timelines on stuff, and oh, it should be this way by this time, and just
Right.
let it flow. I think that's the big thing people missing. They got to just let it flow, because you're gonna see what it is. Like what's for you is gonna be for you. So you don't have to put a time limit on it. Just watch and let it flow and see what it is.
I agree. I think that, of course, friendship is important,
Mm-hmm.
um, but there's so much more than meets the eye when it comes to switching those lanes. And so we do have, I wanted to make sure that I got it right. So we do have other couples, right? We have Adrian Gammy Norris and Rodney Norris, and we have Mike Hill and Cynthia Bailey. We have DJ Envy and Gia Casey,
Okay.
Melanie Fiona and Jerry Cotta, Eric Bellinger.
What? Okay.
Yeah, Eric
Okay.
Bellinger and Lamaya Good. Um,
Okay.
I think we have everybody. Oh, we have Kier and Naomi Gaines, which I'm actually a huge fan. Peter and Amber Saji, Mylan and Lindsay Kennedy, Virgil and Mary Tomes, and I think Jeanette Reyes and Robert Burton. So some of these people, of course, we're familiar with, and others we're not. But in
Mhm.
this first episode, I'm just gonna run through the ones that we did get to talk about. Of course, like Remy Ma and Papoose talked about their friendship and then how that built the foundation, and that he knew he liked her, but he kind of waited it out. He played, the position, so to speak, but they had a solid friendship. He wasn't like waiting in the corner to pounce on her coming out of some sort of relationship or anything like that. I think for me in this first episode overall, like I laughed a lot. Like looking at how the dynamic of all of the couples, they had so many funny moments, and I thought that that was really cool. One of my favorites, I hope that I'm saying their names right, because I want to say that it is I'm not really sure because there's so many of them. It's easier to deal with them. I'm actually gonna do the pictures and whatnot. But I think that it's interesting that, as far as let's go to somebody else like Kel and Asia, right? The fact
Mhm.
that they talk about how again, they're also a couple that's friends, and she's going out on this date, right? He's on the phone with her and they're prepping, and she's prepping for a date, and she's like, I really don't want to go, but my friend set it up, and he's like, I don't know why you're going. You should be with me for
With
real.
me.
Like I feel like you about to, you know what I'm saying? You'll dig me. And she goes on a date, and then she's like, this date is
I
whack, and
wanna.
she can't wait to leave to get back to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
The dynamic in which they are just, it seems very free flowing, very like carefree, the way that they have their relationship. I think it might be because they've been friends for so long. But what did anything in particular stick out to you about their relationship and what they
Me,
have?
I guess. I mean, I like that because that's my line. Like I'd have said the same thing. Like, oh, you need to be rolling with me. Like
Yeah.
that's a
I can
play
see
on
you
my
saying
book. Yeah,
that.
that's a play on my book. Shouts to Kel. Um, but I think again, there are certain benefits and certain um I guess things that
Mm-hmm.
are present in the scenario that are a plus or easier or whatever when you're friends for a long time. Like having a long time friendship with someone
Mm-hmm.
definitely like unlock certain chambers that would otherwise not be unlocked if y'all weren't friends for so long. So that
Right.
I agree with. It's just that again, being friends for a long time with someone doesn't necessarily constitute a perfect relationship or doesn't
Either.
necessarily
Right.
mean y'all
Yeah.
gonna work out.
Right.
In my experience, the biggest thing I think I've had with that is dating someone who I was friends with for like a super long time
Mm-hmm.
and not being able to switch my mind from the friend stuff
Friend.
she did to the girl's friend stuff she did. Now,
Mm-hmm.
granted, I was a lot younger when this was happening.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? But that was the thing. We was like so cool, freaking frack. But when she started doing girlfriend stuff, it just threw me because I was like, hold on, wait, no, you did. But she was my girl, so it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we friends and we've been friends for so long. But now that you kind of crossed over, it's like this comes too. And I think that's another thing that doesn't get discussed when you're friends with someone for a real long time and then you start dating them. There are differences. There are things that you have to get accustomed to or
Adjust.
accommodate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because y'all dealing with each other in an enhanced capacity. You already have the friendship, but now you're dating on top of that, or you're in a relationship on top of the long. I mean, and then like I forget which couple it was, but she was saying like she didn't want to mess it up. I forget their name. The guy with the beard. Oh, hang out with the
Yeah,
beard.
no, I think that was I think that might have been Jeanette and Robert.
Maybe I can't remember which couple it was, but I feel like at least 2 or 3 couples touched on the same thing, and they were
Yeah.
saying, "Well, I didn't want to lose this friendship." Yeah, and I think the lady that was like, she's like, I got Christ in my life and I'm
Yeah,
here and I'm
yeah.
a Christian.
Uh-huh.
And you,
Uh-huh.
yeah, same thing. It was like, yeah, we're friends, but if we're going to cross this plateau, understand this. And I think
Right.
that's so real. The fact that they was able to have that conversation. And also my guy from Detroit, that said they was, I guess him and his wife was back and forth for like 5 years or something like that.
Oh, that's Ashley and
Okay.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
I'm trying to get these names
The
together
names. Yeah.
because
But
seeing it is but that was Ashley and Daryl.
okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What she said, and the wife was actually saying it. She said even though it hurt a lot
Mm-hmm.
because of what he was telling her, she appreciates that he was honest and he was telling her because that could have easily went the other way. And I like what the guy said. He was like, "Yo, she was my friend, so I wasn't about to dog her like that. I just kept it
Right.
100. Like, yo, this
Yeah.
is me. This is where I'm at right now. I don't really want to jump into nothing with you because I already know how that's about to be on the back end. I
Yeah.
gotta respect it. I would, and that's what I tell people all the time. I tell women all the time. Like, I would rather you, like, for example, you might meet a girl, get her number. Oh, hey, you call a few times. You talk 2, 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
but the whole time she got something else going on. But she's nervous about telling you because she don't want you to judge her or she don't want you to think she's trying to play you or so whatever the case is.
Right.
And it's like I be like, yo, we're adults, we're grown. If you have other men you're talking to or entertaining, that is absolutely fine. You have
Right.
done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
All I need from you is the heads up. Just
It's the
let me know.
honesty. Yeah.
That's
Transparency.
it. That's where
Yeah.
the issues come in if you trying to play it like that's not the case, and then I find out on the back end or comes to my attention some other way. Now I'm
Right.
looking at you funny.
Right.
But if you just keep it, yeah, look, I like you, you're cute, whatever. But I'm talking to this person over here as well. Cool. Just let me know off the top, and we good. So I
Mm-hmm.
really like that was highlighted with that couple's discussion.
Yeah, I agree. I think also, one of my favorite couples was probably I want to say is it Robert? Gosh, these names are like killing me. And I know people are gonna rip me in the comments for this, but bear with me, guys. I remember the conversation that he had in regards to, I believe it was, I don't want to say no, because I think that was the one that you touched on. So it was something where my mind really is like kind of like freezing on me, even with my notes. I'm looking at it, I'm just like,
Oh,
okay. But I do think that JB Smooth, right, and his wife, Shahida, the dynamic in which, her being so like, I'm not dating anybody, I'm not looking for anybody, and then him just extending, like his offer to get them a table and, checking in on them and then leaving them alone for the night. I think that a lot of times women, of course, and she's gorgeous, right? So women are accustomed to being hit on, and sometimes you don't want that type of vibe. You want to be hit on, but you want to be hit on in a very intellectual kind of seductive kind of way. You don't want to be physically hit on, if that makes any kind of sense. But when he was saying like, he was just being himself, and that she was now thinking like, oh man, like he's just checking to make sure that I have a good time and that my girls are taken care of. And that's different. That's nice. I think that, just in that dynamic, again, you see the joy and like the laughter for them. Um, and I thought that it was really dope because you're thinking they have a connection, but again, it's kind of, I feel like with all the couples, it was very seamless, very easygoing. It just kind of flowed. You didn't see like a lot of tension, so to speak. And not that you necessarily would, especially on camera, but I think that
Right.
there's some things where you can just kind of see the vibe. You can tell the person's together how they are and how they mesh well. And so watching that dynamic between the two of them was like really cool because the way he talks about how he was just chilling, and she said she wasn't looking for anything. Um, I thought that that was just, it speaks volumes as to how kind of dating is right now because there are a lot of women who are not necessarily looking even though they want that, and then there are some men who come into their lives who kind of just make this space of like, I'm here, yo. Like I ain't
Yeah.
really trying to bother you. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
I think the big thing is being honest with yourself. What she said when she was telling the story, what stood out to me the most was the fact that she was like, yeah, I wasn't really looking for nothing. I was kind of, just in my own lane. But the more that they talked, I guess, or spent time around each other, she said, if I did have a man in my life, this is what I want. Not
right,
necessarily that, oh, he's my husband, but
right.
if I did have a guy around, this is what
Yeah.
it should be like. Or this, she said something like he's like a real man, like the way she said
The
man, because you hear
man.
women all the time, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, he's a man.
Yeah.
But that
Mm-hmm.
could mean 10 different things to 10 different
To
people.
different people. Yeah.
Yeah, what I got from her statement when she said that was his presentation, his ability to do the things that she probably expected of him, um, and just his willingness to, like you said, let her know, hey, I'm here, I'm in this position. I'm JB Smooth. I'm on
Mm-hmm.
TV with Larry David. I'm on
Right.
tour doing stand up. I got a reality show with Kevin Hart. Like I'm doing my thing. I can
Right.
really go have who I want,
Right.
but I'm not on that tip. I'm cooling. You kind of caught my eye. I just wanted to let you know, da 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 da. And then the other thing with women too, what I've noticed, I guess in dating or talking or what have you, is when you can, or rather, the less your conversation and interaction revolves around anything physical,
Mm-hmm.
it's that much more that it ends up on her mind that she's curious and she want to know
Right.
every time, but guaranteed. Because, like you said, 9 out of 10 women are used to, if a guy talks to them, okay, he's gonna ask me 3 questions and then it's something about the bedroom. Like that's what they expect, or he's gonna start off nice and by the end of the night he'll whatever, whatever. So they have these uh reservations going
Right.
into it where they
Mm-hmm.
expect you to, be lower on the scale, or rate your performance on the lower end. So, like she said, when he came, hey, I see y'all right here. Da, 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 y'all need a table? Okay,
Right.
cool.
Yeah. And it's,
Boom.
I can
And
get
then
you.
she was like, then he ain't come say nothing for the rest of the night.
Right. Like
It
she
threw
expected.
her.
Yep.
It
Because
threw
she was.
her. So now she don't know what to do. Yeah.
Mhm.
So his name, she even said it. She was like, yeah, his name JB Smooth. Like it's the right name. But true enough, the brother knows what he's doing. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna do too much. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
could,
It's smooth
but
for sure.
that's it. And it's so
Yeah.
crazy because I never, like, in all the years that I've seen JB Smooth or caught him on TV or whatever, it's like you certain celebrities I be looking at, I'm like, dog, I don't never hear their name in no scandal. Like I never hear them caught up with nothing. And they do a very good job about keeping their personal life
Mm-hmm.
private. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it's the same thing like I say with Ice Cube. Ice Cube, I ain't never heard Ice Cube naming no dirt as far as his wife or him, messing with something. Nothing. He doing his thing. His son is now doing his thing, and
Yeah.
they cooling, and I
Yeah.
love it. You know.
Yeah. So going back to who you was talking about, which was
Mhm.
Soniqua,
Okay.
and her husband Kenrick. Those were the two, the
Yeah.
pair in regards to the, she's saying that, he didn't quite come off as a man who was Christian. but she was
Okay.
very much so in Christian, in Christ rather, and that she had prayed on it, and she basically told him like, look, this is where I'm at. You don't seem to be here, so it's the best that we stay friends. All right, cool beans, and that was it. And then he had to sit her down, like, hold on, wait a minute, like let's talk
Right.
about this real quick, because you got to drop this bomb on me and then leave.
Right.
And I do think that that plays a very good part about being um equally yoked, as far as
Yeah.
people always talk on, and not just spiritually, but like just
On every
emotionally,
level.
yeah,
Yes.
emotionally, mentally,
Yes.
financially, whatever the case is. I think that there has to be a conversation that people have, that a lot of people are afraid to have,
Yep.
because those questions are intense, and that
That's the
means
yes.
that you could potentially, this person that you like so much could essentially say something that shows you, damn, we're not
They
equally
not for
yoked, and they're not
exactly.
for me. So
Exactly. And that's
I
my
just,
point. That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Like I feel like so much time would be saved and so many hearts could be spared from being broken because
it's
of
very true.
honest and upfront conversation. And that's my point. Yes, I might be saying something you don't want to hear, or you might be telling me something I really wish you weren't. But at the very least, I know now. So
Yeah.
even if I decide to proceed, I know that I do so at my own risk because you
Mm-hmm.
told me what it was up front. All right, she a Christian woman. She in a church. So if I'm not, that's the time to check myself. Like, all right, I'm not really on that tip, so maybe this won't work. But
Right.
if I'm really on her, if I'm really like, yo, it's just something about her, I can't, like he said, then okay, let's sit down and let's discuss. What does that mean? You're in the spirit. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you did what kind, you live this lifestyle. What exactly does that mean? And then now you can get the particulars out of the way. And then it's like, all right, well, I may not necessarily be there, but I'm not as far from there as you probably assumed I was. And then now we can meet somewhere in the middle and
Right.
go from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that conversation makes all the difference in the world because you give the one, you're being upfront, so can't nobody come back with no nonsense later. But
Right.
also, you give the other person a chance to decide. That's the biggest thing I wish people would would take from this.
Absolutely.
Give the person a chance to decide instead of making the decision for them, which is what most people do by not saying stuff and lying. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Give them a chance. Let them decide. You might be surprised what they go for.
I agree. I think that a lot of people, again, I was talking to a friend earlier about being assertive, not aggressive, assertive, and speaking your mind and saying what you want and need. A lot of people are not willing to have those hard conversations, because you really got to have the hard conversation first with yourself.
Yes.
That was goes back to what you were talking about earlier, as far as being honest with yourself. That means looking in the mirror and being like, damn, like, okay, maybe this isn't necessarily who I want to portray or who I want to be. So I think that that is definitely interesting. And I want to touch on something real quick. I'm trying to get to everybody. But Tommy and Cody, one of their story in particular is different because essentially Cody hit on Tommy. And there are a lot of women who are not going to hit on any kind of man in any kind of way. And I think that it shrinks your dating
It
pool.
limits you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
I feel
Because
like
that's the thing. If I told you that's the whole thing about perspective and context and understanding, right?
mm-hmm,
If I walked up to a woman and I said, hey, the man that's gonna change your life is right through that door. All you gotta do is open it and go say hi.
mm-hmm.
If I told you that this man will change your life in every possible way for the better, all you gotta do is go over there and say hi. How many women would take me up on that offer and
I
still go
don't,
do it?
not very many. I mean, I
You
would.
feel me?
I
Even
mean,
knowing, yeah, even if I told you, yo, he'll change
yeah,
your life, just go say something to me. You're right. A
yeah,
lot of women is like, nah, that's not my job.
nah, yeah. But I
And I
think that,
respect it,
yeah,
but
but I think that there's a
you know,
difference between. So here's the thing. I use this I can't call it an analogy, but I use it as an example. If there's a door that says I like you, right? So let's just say you and we meet, and I decide, okay, I like Chris. I'm going to make a door that says I like you. And by make a door, I mean by with my actions, you will see that I like you. maybe my actions are not enough and it's a little fuzzy. So I'm going to walk you to the door that says, I like you. Okay, maybe you need a little bit more, you need a little bit more help. All right, now I'm gonna open the door that says I like you. But after that, you gotta walk through the door. Like it's on you. And I think that the
Right.
thing is that sometimes women feel like telling a man you like him or that you're interested looks like taking him out to dinner, buying him a drink or something like that. And for some women it does. And I don't knock it. I don't knock it. I think that some women in their head feel like you're asking him to marry you. Like you're not. You're simply just, and I've asked men before, do they prefer that a woman hits on them versus them hitting on the woman? And they prefer a woman hitting on them. And the key answer that I got was, I know she's interested.
Exactly.
A hundred and
Exactly.
10%. I know she's interested.
Interested.
And so, and that it's like offers it takes the stress away from it, and he doesn't have to be shy, and also he doesn't have to worry about rejection. And we all understand that rejection is very hard on all of us, so I can, like, I get it.
Hmm. It's very, like, that's almost a double-edged sword, because yes, I think most guys would probably prefer a girl hit on them, but for a lot of men, it's, yes, it's the confirmation, but a lot of it is also, well, it just makes things easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's less I have to think about to say. That's less that I have to be the life of the party because she's already at me. So that
Right.
could go either way. For me, I would say either way. I'd like, if she's hitting on me, cool. If I have an opportunity to hit on her, cool. For me, it don't make no difference, because I feel like at the end of the day, even if I'm making the first move, once I put the fishing line out there, I'm gonna see if she bite. Like, I can read actions enough
Mm-hmm.
to know, okay, she's biting or not. And
Right.
so if she's biting, you're gonna get that vibe regardless, whether you say something, she say something. And even the art of, like, flirting, it's an art. It's almost a subconscious art. Because I've had, women tell, "Oh, you're so flirtatious." Nah, I'm not flirting with you at all. I'm just talking. But again, it's how it comes off as perspective. So what
Mm-hmm.
I see as conversation, she sees as flirting, maybe because of the tone I'm using, or the way I'm saying certain things, or certain things just being said in general. Um, but regardless of what it is, it's like, if there's a vibe there, I'm gonna feel the vibe, whether
Right.
it's stronger on my end, her end, or it's equal. But if it's a vibe, I'm gonna feel it. And
Right.
in the same way, if it's not a vibe, you got to be able to pick up on that as well, and oh, okay, and keep it short and sweet before you get embarrassed. Because I think even with that, if a girl not interested in you, she's not looking to embarrass you. But it's like,
Right.
when you don't take the hint,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she done told you a couple times or attempted to, and that's how you get embarrassed. So,
Right.
you
Yeah, I agree. And of course we have Jeanette and Robert Burton, which
Mhm.
that's the couple where he fell, tripped over the
Oh
trash
yeah, I
can,
like them. They
and he
was,
had he had
yeah,
the luchador mask on, right?
yeah.
Um, and
He's funny.
so
Cuz is funny. He reminded me of one of
he
my mans. He's funny.
he's definitely funny, but the one thing that stood out with their conversation throughout this episode was that they went to IHOP and the card came back and was like declined, and instead of her dinging him for that, she essentially, I believe she paid the bill,
It's like,
if
yo,
I'm
it's
not
at the ATM.
mistaken. And then
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know if they clarified who paid it, but
right,
somebody said we need to go to the ATM. The point
yeah.
was made. Yeah.
Yeah, and so of course she still decided to date him, and they continued dating, and um I
And
think
I was just gonna say, Denzel Washington has a very similar story with his
he
first date with his
absolutely
wife.
does. He absolutely
Yes.
did. Well, he essentially did not have the money, and I don't. It
Right.
doesn't say that he tried to even pay for the date, but his
She
wife,
just paid. Yeah, she paid
yeah,
for the cab.
actually paid for the date,
Mhm.
and now they're happily
And look at them now.
happily ever right.
She
Okay,
is still. She
millionaires.
like, yeah, best decision ever.
Best decision ever. Like, way to go on my $30 investment return, because I've
Yes.
made
Way
quite.
to way to see the potential.
But I think that there's I think that potential is a very tricky word, right?
Mhm.
Because I feel like you can absolutely you can absolutely meet somebody that's amazing for you. And even though they might not be all the way put together, I feel like society has created monsters on a microwave society. We want people to have it and have it
Mhm.
now. All the ducks got to be in a row.
Yeah.
I often say this to myself that I think people tend to like think that I have it all together, right? They look at what I have,
Yeah.
material,
Material wise.
They
Yeah.
look at me and like, oh, she's got a house, oh, she's got a job, she's got a car, she doesn't have any kids. Okay, like she's too put
She's
together
together.
as far
Yeah.
as like I can't approach her when I'm living in an apartment.
Right.
Like what? Like did I not live in an
It's
apartment before I got to a house? I'm confused,
and that's yeah, and me and you and I had talked about this off camera, but it's the same thing like I was explaining. It's a lot of it is perspective and to a degree assumptions. When a woman
Yeah,
has certain things in order, there are certain assumptions that are going to be made about her, whether they're accurate or not. It's just a part of the game. It's the same way with
agree.
clothes. It's the same way, right? When you're growing up, your mother always tell you, yo, you a young lady, don't dress like this. Don't
Mm-hmm.
wear these kind of clothes. Don't mean that you fast or you're doing anything, but I guarantee you, if you dress a certain way, you're gonna get a certain energy once you walk out the door. You're gonna get
Right,
approached a certain. It is what it is.
right.
So the optics of things can play a huge role in how stuff turns out because a lot of times people are approaching or dealing with you in a way based on the optics. So
Mm-hmm.
a dude that, like you said, like, oh, she's cute, she's pretty, she's got this and this and this and this. He might try his hand, but he on the wing and a prayer because he really don't know how it's gonna go. And
Mm-hmm.
so what you're getting from him when y'all are spending time together may not be the real him. And the only reason he's giving you that or attempting to give you that is because he feel like this the only way that she's even gonna look at me as
Right.
somewhat of an equal. And so
Yeah.
and that goes back to what I said about the honesty. So basically what you have is, I ain't gonna say a lie, but you have false actions being taken under false or assumed pretenses
Mm-hmm.
that yield an artificial result. Where if if you would have just been upfront, or he would have just been upfront and say, "Hey, look, this is me. This is where I am. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. Does
Right.
that work for you?" And that's
Yeah.
my point. You be surprised, bro,
That
at
would be
what
a
works.
listen. That's a word right there. Say it one more time for the people in the back. I mean, literally, it's about having a conversation. You are
Yeah.
assuming so much about me or vice versa without actually having a conversation. And I think that that is
Exactly.
the detrimental part because so many opportunities have been missed
Yes.
because
What you thought.
most of the time, yeah, assumptions on yourself. You
Mhm.
judged yourself so much that you thought that I
Yes.
was going to come and judge you. So that's a whole
Yes.
different
Yep.
topic in itself. You know what I
Yep.
mean? But I think if we were to understand, I read this thing on Instagram and it's super hilarious because the saying is you need to have all your ducks in a row.
Mhm.
And I saw a girl on Instagram, she says sometimes you just gotta grab the ducks you got and make a fucking run for it.
That's it.
Absolutely, sis.
That's
Because
it.
sometimes you don't have an opportunity to sit and wait to get everything aligned.
Yes. There's exactly
There are so
timing.
many things. Yeah, there's so many
Timing.
things that you succeed on by
Mhm.
taking a risk. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So without those risks, you can't really
Right.
I don't think that you can ever really get to the next level without taking some sort of risk.
There's absolutely risk is involved. Yeah, absolutely. Now there's a difference between risk and like calculated risk,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as advancement or evolution or increase or whatever, it's a lot of words you could put in a blank.
Mm-hmm.
It all requires some level of risk because the risk is what creates the growth in the first place. Even
Agreed.
if you look at the cycle of a butterfly, that caterpillar is taking a risk crawling around, finding a spot on a tree to make the cocoon. Then
Mm-hmm.
while he's making it, he could still get attacked by a bird and die in the process. So it's a risk from jump. But
Yeah.
if he takes the risk and is successful on the risk, the outcome is this butterfly. Now I got this vicious design. I got wings. I can fly. I can do all this. It's the
Right.
risk.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I agree with you. I think some level of risk is involved, and those that are willing to take the risks
Mm-hmm.
reap the benefits. Like they could tell you about the L's they took, but they could tell you about them W's, and them W's is so satisfying.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
I agree. I think that sometimes we are so programmed to to think about the worst outcome that we
Mhm.
don't think about the best outcome. Like what,
Right.
like instead of being like, oh, what could happen if I XYZ,
Mhm.
I could make $1 million. I could impact 10,000 lives. Instead, it's like, oh, I could fail. My house would get
Yeah.
repoed. Like they're just going down
Yeah.
that rabbit hole of negativity. And it's
Yes.
like you can't do that to yourself, because you take away your opportunities without even knowing it.
Mhm.
And again, that's back to like just judging ourselves so harshly that we think that we essentially will
Yeah.
fail. It's something that don't have anything to do with with the other person.
Well, yeah, there's I don't even know how to put it into words, but essentially I feel like at least in America, there is
Yeah.
a underlying tone of implied or expected humility, because even when you
Mm-hmm.
talk to strangers, hey, that's a nice outfit, oh, this whole thing, and it's like people are programmed to
Yeah.
immediately
Yeah.
downplay whatever you're telling them, and they expect the same from you in kind. So like if
Right.
you tell them, yo, your shirt's nice, oh, this is this whole thing, but then when they tell you your shirt is nice, you be like, yeah, this fly, yeah, it's Supreme, or yeah,
Yeah.
this my new Kith or whatever. And then they looking at you funny like, oh, that was kind of stuck. Like, nah, why I gotta be stuck up, bro? This is
Yeah.
designer. I spent the money, I worked for it, I spent the bread, I want to look fly. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you notice my fly, I salute that. I appreciate it. I'm not about to downplay. I know I'm shining right now. What am I downplay it for?
But I think that we there's this thing that our parents probably said to us in regards to being humble. There's a
Yeah.
difference between being
Well,
humble
here's
and
the
not.
here's the thing. I don't even use humble anymore because it's been you. Look up in the dictionary. Look up what to humble yourself really means. If you look at the
Mm-hmm.
real definition of humble, you wouldn't humble yourself. The word that should be used is just respect. You should be respectful. You should remain respectful. You should
Mm,
uh, extend the respect at all times. But
okay.
being humble is a difference, because when you being humble, it literally is defined as putting yourself below or placing yourself under, and you don't never
Ah,
want to do that. You know what I mean?
okay.
You just
Got
want to
you.
be respectful. So yeah, if somebody, hey, that's a nice outfit. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. Them shoes is fly too, dog. That's
Yeah.
how you do it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I agree. I definitely agree. So this other couple, I actually like them a lot. They're very, very cute. This was Ray and Rosalind, the young lady with the short, the very, very short
Yes, the
hair.
one that told the story about the shades.
Yes. I
That was
love
they was hilarious. I love them. They
I
was
love
hilarious.
her because she
Yeah,
was like, look at his stupid ass with these shades on.
and
And you
said it
know
loud
what?
enough for
Listen,
him.
I'm that person. I'm not gonna hold you because I do that to my dad occasionally. I'd be like, four like what you doing right now? 4 p.m.
But see,
Like,
but that's pops. That's the
or
thing. That's
but
he was a
still,
total stranger, and she was just like,
yeah. But I've definitely looked at somebody and be like, let's look at this fool over here with
yeah.
these shades on. I
Mhm.
love that she was authentically herself and that he came up and he wanted to ask her for a dance. Like he was going down the escalator, came back up the
Came back
escalator
up.
for her, saw her on the dance floor and was like, do you want to dance? And she was like, no. And then they ended up at the bar or something, right? Like an after
Yeah, to the
party.
after party.
Yeah. And then, he essentially introduced himself to everybody. Um,
And she said
and then
she said when he came and introduced himself that second or third time she had seen that, she was like, oh, I already know it was a rap.
yeah,
She knew.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, "Okay, God, I see you," And then he said, "Let's bless the food." That's what it was. He said, "Let's bless
Yes.
the food," and she said, "Okay, God, I see you. Thank you, appreciate you." And then they went together. Like they've been inseparable ever since.
Ever
And so
since.
I
Yeah.
love that, and really what this is about for real in this first episode is about confidence too between the men and the women, whoever approaches who. It's like being confident enough to know that what you feel, the intensity that you feel is valid,
Mhm.
and then also that, listen, it's go home or go hard, like go hard or
Yeah.
go home, you know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people are not willing to do that, but also a lot of people don't know what they're looking for either, because
Yeah.
looking for ass or a quick nut is not the same
It's
as looking
different
for
than a partner.
longevity, yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And even the way they titled the episode, there's no one way. I love
Mm-hmm.
that because
Mm-hmm.
every story gave you a totally different perspective. So you could see,
Right.
like, oh, it isn't just, oh, we was coworkers and we started talking, or yeah, I tripped and fell over something, and you know what I mean. It doesn't always have to be
Right.
this grand Walt Disney type story.
Right.
There's so many ways. You might, yo, I was on the app, I was on the Tinder or the whatever, BLK, whatever the apps are now,
Listen,
and
them
you
absolute
lucked
devil.
up. You feel me? Yeah, which is, that's the feedback from most.
Mm-hmm.
But to that point, you don't know. You might get on that joint and swipe, and the whole time is your wife. You
Yeah.
don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it can go that way. So I like that. They're putting it out there that, hey, these
Mm-hmm.
are, a bunch of different couples, and they all have their stories of how they met, but understand that there's no one right way, or there's no way that it has to go.
Right.
You can meet somebody under any circumstance. The point is, if you meet them, you can recognize, hey, I feel something right now.
Yeah.
Let me pursue it. Let me see what that's about. And that's the key.
I totally agree, 110%. And I think one of our final couples that we were talking about is Ashley and Daryl, and they were the ones that was talking about the situationship, essentially the one that we talked about
Okay,
earlier, where you
yeah,
said that
yeah.
he said that he wasn't ready
He
and he
told
didn't
her,
want to dog her
yeah,
out. So
yeah.
I think that sometimes we look at situationships. Well, I mean, depending on what you want, they can be, I won't call them bad, just unhealthy, right? Because if
Yeah,
you want long term commitment, being in a situationship is obviously
it won't get you
unhealthy,
that. Yeah,
right? So you have to, at some point in time, put your foot down, have your boundaries, and say, like, yo, this is not for me. I love you, especially when you're talking about friendship. Like, to be friends, to cross that line into, well, I don't think they weren't actually friends, but they were getting to know each other. They didn't really get to know each other as best as they could, but they had this back and forth, kind of like, I love what she said, like, I didn't really know much about him, but he called me at 3 o'clock in the morning like a dumbass. I was like, yeah, I'm up, you can come over, because so many women have experienced that. But I think that the most important and impactful thing that she said was that I realized
as
that
she
it
got
wasn't for
older.
me as
Yeah,
I
she
got
said the
older,
older I got, the
right?
less time I had for it. That's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that that's a conversation again.
Yeah,
All this leads back to having a conversation with yourself, being honest with
yeah.
yourself about
Mhm.
what it is that you want to do. And just being okay with losing somebody if in fact you do say what you need and want, and that person is like, I can't give it to you,
Can't give it to you.
right? Whether it's
Yeah,
right now or never, being
right.
okay with that is very hard.
Yeah,
Speaking
it's
from like personal experience,
experience.
very
It
very
can
hard.
be. It can be, depending on what's happening and who's happening with. It can be. But I
Mhm.
think you summed it up perfectly. It's A, being able to hold yourself accountable, and
Mhm.
then B, being able to hold the other person accountable. And as
Right.
long as you can do that equally
Right.
and fairly, it
Yeah.
you can't really go wrong with that formula.
No, I agree with you on that. And I think the last but not least that we have is Jared and Melanie. And they're the couple that's expecting. You can kind of see it in the
Yes,
yeah.
that yeah, I think that's what I was talking about earlier. I forget what I said, but they had said something earlier, and I
I,
think she had touched on the fact that she was like, he understood that he wasn't ready, and she was willing to give him the space to figure out
mhm.
what he needed to get there.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was real, but she was like, but while that's happening, like, you can't call me, or because, like you said, because I don't want this to turn into the whole, oh, hey, it's 3 a.m., hey, what do you do? It's like, figure it out,
Right.
see what you want to do, and
Yeah.
then come let me know.
Yeah.
That's real. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She said that it was hard for her. And I'd like the transparency in saying that, although they were friends and they had this, friendship, that she knew that it wasn't right, and even
Mhm.
down to like saying like she didn't think that he was about nothing because he was pretty.
Mhm.
She called that man Drake for a second.
Yeah,
She really did.
she did.
She definitely called that man Drake for a second.
It's like, I
So,
thought he was too cool for school.
yeah,
So
that's
funny.
exactly what she
But
said.
that goes back to the assumption. That's my point. You didn't
Mm-hmm.
know nothing about this man, and just based
Mm-hmm.
on a look, because I've had girl, women say that to me all the time. Oh, you look like you be getting girl. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does
Wow.
that
Do
mean?
you
Why?
look like that? Let me take a look
I
at you.
don't. I don't know. I can't. I'm just recounting personal experiences. I
Mhm.
don't know what she saw what was going through her mind. But I've had like more than women that have said that to me. Oh, you look
Right.
like you. Oh, no, I can't talk to you. I know you. Like you, what? You don't know. No, you
Yeah.
actually you know nothing. You don't need. That's why I stopped you to try to get a number so you can get to know me. You really know nothing. But this is the world we
Yeah.
live in now. You know what I mean? Where you get judged based
Judged, and
on.
also people feel like people are a dime a dozen. Well, no, that's not the word. That's not the right phrase. They feel like people are replaceable. So it's like a revolving
Yeah,
door. Like,
yeah,
oh, so I like Chris, but he don't do all right. Well, floop,
right. Get another
and
one.
so I think that we miss the patience in relationships so much so that we possibly miss out on good people.
You do, and a lot of times I think the people know that they miss out because just like that scenario you said, oh, I like him, but he ain't doing what I want. So
Mm-hmm.
then, okay, kick me to the curb. But then 6 months later, you run into me again. You know, I'm at the Target or something. You might run into me at the Target, but the whole time you see this woman on my arm that you know is happy. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know her, but you know she happy. And now
Mm-hmm.
you salty inside because you're looking at it like, oh, that was me, or that's supposed
Yeah.
to be me. And
Yeah.
now it's so much of that, so much like resentment and saltiness
Yeah.
amongst
Bitter.
people. You know,
Bitterness.
yeah, you with a person, and it's guys and girls, it's both. You
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
somebody, you don't treat them right, you carry it with them, and then you see them a little bit later living a best life, and you can't do nothing but throw salt. That
Yeah.
happens all the time. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I agree. I definitely think that, overall, this episode just showing us the different intros into how these couples came to be, how they took chances, that despite what it looked like, they didn't just throw in the towel. They had a little bit of patience. They said, let me think about it for a second. It's like, for me, I call it my 10-second rule, where I just think about it for 10 seconds before I be like, let me not say nothing stupid. Let me think real quick. 10 seconds. Okay. Okay, maybe, but overall, I love the intro for this to be the final season. There's so much that I've learned over the past 6 seasons. Like, I'm taking notes, obviously, because as a single person, I want to put things into implementation as a single person, like the things that they said as far as being out in the world looking for somebody, but or not looking for somebody at the same time, right? But then, just because I want to be able to have a moment where on Saturdays, like, we watch an episode and we talk about it. And I think that also creates a different kind of relationship when you have things like this, where you can see, like, it's so possible, because I know for sure I didn't come from a household where I saw marriage. So I essentially um really want that. Like, I really want to have a successful marriage. I want to have a loving, healthy marriage. And so to see the at this point, I want to say at least maybe 100 couples that they've had, you get to know, like, wow, I can do this. Let me take some notes, right? Let me change this temper a little bit. Let me be patient. It's kind of like going to a cooking class, and you and the partner have to cook together. What are you throwing in your pot? Patience, consistency, effective communication, right? Because there are things that we throw in that we don't realize we're missing stuff too. People will be like, oh, I need communication. You need effective, healthy communication, because sometimes communication looks very different for a lot of people, you
it
know.
does. And a lot of, yes, and that's a big, and I don't want to go off too on a tangent. We can say that discussion for another time, but
Mm-hmm.
a big roadblock that a lot of women are having, or that's, it's the more dialogue is coming out about it. A lot of women have expectations for men that they themselves cannot meet. So it's like, I want
Yeah.
this man 6 figures, this kind of house, this kind of whatever. He's taking me out all the time. We spending $400 or $500 on dinner. We do. So you have this laundry list of movie star expectations you expect from this
Movie stuff.
average male, and you ain't got to pay. You wearing your friend outfit to the date.
Not your front outfit though. Lord, they gonna have you. They gonna have that
I'm
with you in
just
these
saying,
comments.
if we gonna talk, let's talk about it. That's all I'm saying. If we're
But
gonna
but
discuss it, let's talk
but
about it.
that's part of effective communication though. Like,
Yeah.
the effective communication deals with invisible expectations. That's what I call them. Those are expectations that you did not discuss with your partner, right? Like if I'm dating a man and he comes over to my house, my invisible expectation is you better take out the trash. That's an invisible expectation. But not all men know to take out the trash. So
Well, they should when it starts to stink.
apparently I have to say, hey, since you are here every week around the time when trash goes out, could you please take the trash out for me? These are things, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you,
No,
these are
and
things that I've learned from
yeah,
older women that you have to
you
actually
have to
ask
do.
and
No, and
state
that's
your
fine.
piece.
Yes, but that's fine. See, the difference there is what you're asking for is not unrealistic. See, that scenario is more, I expect you to know something even though I didn't tell you. That's
Mm-hmm.
different than saying, I want you to do this, and this, even though I can't do none of it. You feel
But
me?
I don't know how often that is the case. But we're gonna have to keep that for another
We have
episode
to
because
look.
that
Yeah, this all
we
I'm
going
saying. If you
yeah.
expect me to be pulling up in a Lambo, then you should be pulling up in a Range. That's all I'm saying. Don't have Lamborghini
Listen,
expectations for me and you want the C8 or the Y8 or the 49 or whatever. That's all I'm saying.
listen. First of all, everybody needs to get all electric or a hybrid. So I ain't been pulling up in nobody's Lambo unless that shit is a hybrid or
Okay.
all
Or the
electric.
Tesla. All right, for the
Or a
electric folks
Tesla.
out there.
I mean,
I
there's a
mean,
nice electric Porsche. You feel me? Like I
okay.
got dreams and expectations, and Porsche, is looking real nice. The
And
Tesla's
that's
cool and
fine.
all, but
That's fine. But that's all I'm saying. You cannot stand with a straight face and tell somebody you better be driving a foreign and you ain't driving at all.
But
That's
what
all I'm
kind of
saying.
foreign though? I mean, because if I ask you to drive a Porsche, it's okay because I'm driving an ACK. A ACK is
That's
still
all right.
foreign.
But that's my point. But you driving. You got a license. That's all I'm
You talking
saying.
about the bus people?
Like she ain't even got a learners yet, but you want him in a
Nah,
Lambo. Come on.
we can't do that. We can't do
That's what
that.
I'm
Well,
saying. I can, yeah. If you driving an act, you doing it. A lot of people will give you that you doing it because an act is not a regular car either.
yeah, I
But that's my
mean,
point. It's balance. It's
yeah,
balance. I'm not going to ask more of you than I know I can deliver because that's crazy.
yeah.
All these, that's what I'm saying. When I want my man to make 6, 7, 8, 9 figures. Okay, can you make 3?
I want to make 9 figures, but listen, I manifest things into my life, so that's a different story for a different time. But listen,
Yeah.
this is episode 1 on Black Love season 6, the final episode or the final season. You can catch it on OWN or on the Black Love app, actually. And it's going to be airing on Saturday, July 23rd. So you can catch us here after the episode drops every week with our shenanigans. Okay. And the dynamic here is always going to be fun because you get the best of both worlds. Okay. You get the black woman, you get the black man. So any final thoughts, Chris, on this episode?
Nah, just that I'm looking forward to the rest of it. Like I said, it's the first episode I've seen. It's the first time I've ever seen the show, but it definitely great. It's not typically the kind of show I would even watch for real, but it was interesting enough that the dialogue to grab me early and want to see what happens. So I definitely am looking forward to hearing more accounts, more stories, more things about how people handle situations and points of view and all of that, because I think ultimately it is a dialogue, it's a learning process, and it's a real time learning process, meaning
Yeah,
you will never fully understand it all at one time. You know what I mean? There's a
absolutely.
saying, I forget who said it, but somebody was saying like, when you can understand why pizza is circle but the slices is triangle and it's in a square box, when you understand that, then you'll understand women.
Well, on that note, guys, we will see you next time. Please leave your comments, your thoughts, and join us here again for the multiple things happen on Big Go Bell Media. But until next time, we'll see you later. Peace, y'all.
Peace.